Welcome to Analog Integrated Circuits Design class, and this is lecture number 6 on unit 2. And in this lecture we will cover the design of folded cascode op-amp. So folded cascode op-amp, we discussed about the architecture, the voltage gain expression on the other day. So today we'll continue and we'll take a design example with these specifications. So the supply voltage is 3, differential output swing is 3, say the same specification as that of telescopic op amp, the same thing we are considering. And a voltage gain is also, yeah, all the specifications remain same. So, and what you are seeing on the screen now, the circuit diagram is that of folded cascode, and we are doing for a folded cascode with NMOS input pair. So there are two ways you can do, either with a PMOS input pair or with an NMOS input pair. So now we will start with uh, NMOS input pair. Alright, so this is the circuit diagram of a folded cascode op amp. Op amp with NMOS input pair. Alright, so to start with the design, so to start with the design, the steps what we followed in the previous class will remain same. Other than a slight modification which is required for this specific architecture. So what is the first step what we have taken the other day? Can I get some response in the chat?
Sir, isn't it PMOS input pair?
This is NMOS input pair, right?
But yesterday, as we did telescopic op-amp, then we changed it to folded cascode. At that time,
Yeah. Yeah, go on.
yeah, here PMOS.
Yeah, so the telescopic op-amp was with PMOS input pair, and from that only we can draw a folded cascode version. Then the input becomes NMOS, right? So that is the difference between the folded version and the regular cascode. If in the regular cascode you have PMOS, in the folded version you will have the input pair will be NMOS.
Yes, sir, got it.
Yeah. So, but you can do design of any of the things. You can either do PMOS like this, PMOS input pair, or we can try with NMOS also. So, comparatively, NMOS folded cascode version is having more gain compared to PMOS. Those features we will see very shortly. All right. So here I have taken an example of an NMOS input pair folded cascode op amp. So don't get confused. Maybe the confusion will be when we say that the input pair is NMOS for a folded cascode version. The meaning is the folded cascode op amp input is NMOS input pair. It is not that the telescopic will have and we need to go for a folded cascode version of that. It is not like that. So if the architecture is mentioned as folded cascode and the input pair is mentioned as NMOS, the meaning is folded cascode version of the op amp will have the input transistors as NMOS. That is what you need to understand. All right. Yeah. So Anushka, I saw your response. From the power dissipation spec, we need to find the yeah. Even Bhuvan also responded to that. So we can take the maximum power dissipation, and from that we can find all the current. So step one is nothing but finding the current through all transistors. So that I'm writing it here. Finding current of all transistors. So for that, what we will do is we will take the power dissipation spec. Power dissipation is VDD into the current. I can take it as I'll just take it as ID, and I'll see. I'll tell you which current is that. So VDD into ID is a current, and by substituting 3 volt and power dissipation of 10 milliwatt, the current remains same as the previous. That is 3.33 milliamps of current. Current is 3.3, sorry, yeah, 3.33 milliamps is the current here. Now with this current we need to or we need to say now how I can split this current, or how I can allocate the current through all the transistors in the circuit, right? So as I mentioned before, if you have 3.33 milliamps as the maximum current, we will not use the entire current for the main circuit. Main circuit is now you have two branches. One on the left side you have the input pair, and on the right side you have the cascode transistor. So it is a usual practice that we will allocate some current for the biasing circuits that we will keep aside. So as of now, I will consider out of this 3.33 milliamps current, I am going to consider only 3 milliamps of current for my design. That is the starting point. Again, I'm just telling it is not like arbitrary. But if you ask me, yeah, somebody else can they try with 2.9 milliamps of current? Definitely, they can try with 2.9 milliamps of current. The whole point of taking it as 3 is just I'm taking a round figure so that I can just allocate the rest of the things very easily. Right. So 3 milliamps is the total current what I can consider for this circuit. Now we are seeing almost, let me just number the transistors quickly. So this is this is M1, M2, and the cascode for that is M3 and M4. Then you have the load cascode M5, M6. Then this is M7, M8, and this is M9 and M10. Yeah, so this is not M6, I'll take it as M0. Right. So these are the transistors what we are numbering. Now let us see how we can allocate this 3 milliamps current. So 330 microamps, I am just writing it here. 330 microamps I am utilizing for the biasing circuit, which I am not going to consider now. This is for biasing circuit exclusively. Now look at this. I have 3 milliamps of current now, and if I look at the circuit, can you tell me which transistor will be carrying the maximum current in this?
M0.
Which one? M0.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, M0 will carry maximum current. Yeah, I think Anushka is having a question. For what biasing circuits will this 0.33 milliamps current be used for exactly? Yes. See, look at this. You need to generate VB1, VB2, VB3, VB4, and VB5. We need to generate 6 bias voltages. Along with that, you need a common mode level voltage for the input transistors as well, right? So if that is the case, if you need to generate all these bias voltages, we know that the general method what we use is we use current mirrors for biasing, or we go for constant current biasing. Now when I go for constant current biasing, the very basic circuit what I use is, what is the basic circuit what I use? Current mirror. So what is a current mirror? Current mirror is a circuit which yeah, so this is your current mirror circuit. I'll draw somewhere here. Yes, this is your current mirror circuit. So what I will do is, what is the bias? Say I need to bias VB5, right? So I need to bias VB5, and in order to bias VB5, I have a reference current available. Okay, I'll explain this bias current after allocating the currents here. That will give more clarity, Anushka. I'll come back to that. All right, so I'll talk about biasing circuit a little later after allocating all the currents in this specific circuit. So out of this 3 milliamp, we know that M0 will carry maximum current. Now more than M0, or at least equal to M0, we have another two transistors which are of importance here. Those are these two, M9 and M10, because these are the actual current sources, or the current from M9 and M10 is basically getting splitted into both the branches, one on the input side and one on the cascode branch. So out of this 3 milliamps current, it is ideal to allocate 3 milliamps equally among M9 and M10. The meaning is M9 should carry 1.5 milliamps of current, and M10 also should carry 1.5 milliamps of current. So the entire 3 milliamps of current I am dividing equally among M9 and M10 by identifying that M9 and M10 are the current sources in the circuit. These are the current sources in the circuit. Any disagreement or any confusion in that? Because from these two transistors are through these two transistors we are getting current to the entire branch or the all the other transistors in the circuit. So M9 and M10 I am allocating the total current into divided by 2, so that is 1.5 milliamps on one side and another 1.5 milliamps on the other side. Now we need to decide how this 1.5 milliamps from the drain of M9 the DC current will split into two. One will go to this side and another one will go to the other side. Similarly, this 1.5 will flow towards this side and towards this side. That means this 1.5 milliamps is actually splitting. Now how can I split this? So again, we can split actually depending on several modes we can split, but the very simple way is to split equally. So that means I can split and I can say that 0.75 milliamps is flowing towards the input transistor and the rest 0.75 is flowing this side. Similarly, this will also carry 0.75 milliamps and this branch will carry 0.75 milliamps. All right. So with this, I can identify or I can assign current through all the transistors, and with 0.75 through M1 and M2, M10 is also carrying equal current, which is 1.5 milliamps. All right. Any questions on this, on how we have divided this current? If you have questions, please put in the chat box. I'll respond to that. So out of 3.33, I have taken 3 milli and I have looked at the top current source and assigned that current equally. And then there was a dividing happening, current division happening. There also I have taken equal currents to both the branches. Now you see, you know all the current. So let me summarize the current here. The current through M0, M9 and M10 is 1.5 milliamps, and the current flowing through M1, M2 up to M8 all are 0.75 milliamps. All right. So now, all right, Bhavya, you have a question. How 1.5 divided equally since both ends don't share the same resistance? Bhavya, what I'm dividing here is a DC current, right? The resistance what you are mentioning is the AC resistance. If you mention that, if you are thinking that the resistance, or we are not dividing the current depending on the resistance seen from both the sides, we are dividing current because on the left hand side or the input pair also should carry a larger current, because finally we need to achieve a specific gain. In order to have a good gain, you should have a sufficient GM. So to have sufficient GM, you should have sufficient current through the input transistors. So in that way, both sides are equally important, because what you're 1 second. Yeah, so what you're seeing here on this part, the input pair is providing you GM, and on the right side, this is actually providing you resistance, and the current division is not at all depending on the AC resistance, because what I have given or what I have allocated here is a DC current. Is that clear, Bhavya? All right. So it is up to designer how you can divide this current. Say I can go and I can keep 0.5 milliamps, like instead of dividing it equally, I can also try for 1 milliamps to one branch and 0.5 on the other branch. But there will be definitely you can try that, and if the specifications are meeting, definitely we can go ahead with it. But this is fairly an dividing equally is what we can start with, and once the spec is not met, we can go on further and change it. All right. So these are the currents. Now I'll come back and answer what Anushka asked before. So she was asking about the biasing part. Now you see, M0 transistor is carrying 1.5 milliamps of current, and now I need to bias this M0 using a suitable voltage, which is VB5. So how will I do that? Generally, I take a current mirror. This is a very simple way to do, but practically we will actually take a better current mirror version. What I am showing is a very simple version of current mirror. So this is the current mirror. Now I need 1.5 milliamps of current through M naught, right? But for that, I need something called as IREF. IREF is a reference current. So how do I get reference current? Because ideally I will not get something called as idle current source. I need to generate that current, and we have circuits to generate a stable current which will not change with respect to temperature or any other variations, and that circuits are called as band gap references. So if I want to generate, or if I generally with a see, if I am a designer, I will not have thousands of reference current. I'll have, maybe I have designed and kept ready few reference current with me, and say for example I have some reference current of 100 microamps with me. 100 microamps is a reference current what I have. Now my task is, using this 100 microamps current here, I need to generate 1.5 milliamps here. So how will I do? I'll actually do connection like this. Then only I can generate a suitable bias voltage at VB5. So how will I do that? I will size the transistors M0 and say I will call this as MB. I will size these transistors in such a way that M0 will carry 1.5 milliamps, and when MB is carrying 100 micro, I'll size in such a way that M0 will carry 1.5 milliamps, right? Thereby I am actually generating a bias voltage here, and that is actually given to the gate of M0, right? So now what I was talking about this biasing circuit is, so when I talk about the total power dissipation of a folded cascode op amp, like this we have many biasing part. So I have a biasing part here, VB5. Similarly I need to bias VB1, VB2, VB3 and VB4. So I need some current in all such cases to bias the transistor separately. So that is why I kept 330 microamps apart, just to include the power or include the current flowing through all such biasing network. Is that clear? Is that clear for everyone what I was telling? Can I get a response from even others? All right, fine. All right, okay, so we will continue. So we now know the current through all transistors, keep in mind. So what is the next step? We'll go to step number 2. Step 2 is to find the overdrive voltage. So let me write this as step 2. Step 2 is to find the overdrive voltage of all the transistors. Find VOD of all transistors. This is step 2. So how will I find that? That is basically obtained by considering the output swing, the differential output swing. All right. So now my output is purely on the cascode branch, not on the, so input side is not directly affected. Output is taken from the cascode branch. You can see that this whatever I'm highlighting with the green color is the output node. So I am considering one cascode branch here. So let me take one cascode branch. So this is one cascode branch, and this is the output node. Similarly, I have one more cascode branch on the other side. So if I number this is M10, M4, M6 and M8, right? Yeah. So this is M10, M4, M6 and M8, all the even number transistors here. Similarly, you can see the odd number transistors on the other side. So this is VDD. Now I need to find the overdrive requirement of all the transistors, and that can be purely taken from the output swing, right? From the output swing we can actually find that. Now what is output swing given? Output swing, differential swing is given as 3. That means at one cascode point, that means at this point here, I can have a maximum swing of right. This is my output swing, and I can say that This is what I am drawing for one cascode branch. So this can be equal to 1.5 volt. Similarly, you can have a swing of 1.5 volt on the other side of the cascode branch. So together, when you measure differentially, you will get 3 volt. All right. So, but now, if you look at this entire thing from here to here, this is VDD which is equal to 3 volt, and here it is equal to 0 volt. And in between, you have a swing of 1.5. What is the meaning of that? What is left out? What is the voltage left out now? We are keeping the swing for 1.5. We have altogether 3 volt as the supply voltage. So what is left out? Amitesh, are you there?
1.5.
Amitesh?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Amitesh. Can you tell me what is the voltage left out here?
Sir, it would be VDD minus all the overdrive voltages, sir.
But overdrive voltage we need to find now. How will I find overdrive voltage?
Uh, don't know, sir.
All right, Amitesh.
Assign,
But
you have to assign it.
are you listening, Amitesh? Hello,
Yes, sir.
Amitesh. Are you
Sir,
listening to the class?
Yes, sir.
Tell me what we discussed just now.
Sir,
What we are doing today? Which circuit we are discussing?
sir, folded this thing, sir.
Folded this
Cascode
thing
op-amp.
means. Okay, what is the specialty of folded cascode op-amp?
Sir, actually, yesterday class I did not attend, sir. So like
What
today,
happened? You did not fill up the attendance this also.
yes, sir. I was asleep actually.
Fine, but you can fill it up, right? I have informed already. If you are taking a break, you should inform me.
Yes, sir.
What happened, Amitesh? Then
Nothing, sir. I thought the class was already over. That's why I did not fill it, sir.
okay. So don't give such excuses to me. If you are not attending class, you should fill up. This is for everyone. I'm telling. And if you are logged in and if you are listening, if you are logged in, you should definitely listen to the class. All right. But if you're not able to listen, no need to log in and show up that you are there, and then you will be left out. So please don't do that. This is for everyone, I'm telling, not only for Amitesh. Yeah. Amog, I think you want to say something.
Yeah, we have to do the assignment. No, yeah.
Which assignment?
Like we have to assign all the VOB
Yes,
like
yes.
we did
Yeah,
for
we
last.
have to assign overdrive voltages, right? So you have 3 volt altogether. 1.5 is the output voltage to swing. So left out is 1.5. That means you can use that 1.5 to allocate the overdrive voltage for these two transistors and these two transistors. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what will I do? What will I do here? I will write here that one cascode. If I look at one cascode branch, I have the overdrive voltage of 10 plus the overdrive voltage of 11, both are PMOS, plus overdrive voltage of 6 plus overdrive voltage of 8. There are 4 transistors here, and the sum of all these overdrive can be equated to 1.5 because what we need as output swing is only 1.5. So remaining I have taken it here. So I'll do for one cascode branch, the same voltage is applicable to the other cascode branch with all even numbers as well.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
So in this case, we need to, like, after we assign the overdrive voltages, we need to make sure that the overdrive voltage demand for the left branch is less than the M6 and M7 overdrive voltage demand, right?
M6 and M7.
What I meant to say was, in the left branch, when you have, like, for example, M1 and M0, the
M1,
overdrive
M2
voltage.
and M0.
Yeah, like if we consider only one side of the branch, the overdrive voltage demand of like M1 and M0 should be, I mean, should be less than the overdrive voltages of the other side, right?
Yeah, I got it. Maybe what you're asking is, if I assign the entire thing or the 1.5 entire thing to the cascode branch, how we will take care of the overdrive of the input transistor pair. Is that your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Bhuvan, right? Bhuvan, yeah. So Bhuvan, you see there are two branches basically, or you can see that cascode itself we have two, or from the I'll use this color. So this is the supply voltage, this node, right? From supply voltage you have actually two branches from here. One branch is having all the transistors in cascode, so that starts from M9, M10, and then all the transistors in stack till down M7 and M8. The other branch also starts at VDD with M9 and M8, and that is actually taking you M1, M2, and M10. So you can see that there are two different branches totally, and the output swing or output is entirely from the cascode branch. So since the output swing at one cascode branch is 1.5, the rest of the 1.5 I can easily allocate to the rest four devices, provided, see, if I look for the left hand side, from here to this point you have VDD voltage, right?
Yes, sir.
And M9 and M10 I will be assigning some voltage. Remaining voltage is available, so I can assign M1 and M2 lavishly than doing overdrive assignment for the cascode branches, because the number of transistors are also less
Okay.
on that side. Yeah.
So since the right branch has like 4 transistors in cascode
And
configuration.
yeah, that is one point. Another point is both are two. There are two branches available. That means we have VDD voltage available for both the branches.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. Got it.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhuvan, for asking that. Yeah, so I can assign the one cascode branch to 1.5. Now we are actually again going for a logical assignment here. We will look at, now we have 4 transistors, and we will, if you look at all the 4 transistors, we can definitely say that this transistor, which is M10 transistor, which is acting as a current source transistor, this is carrying the large current compared to all the other transistors from M11, M6, and M8 on the same branch, isn't it? So since we know that, okay, let me identify these two as PMOS. These two are PMOS transistors. These two are NMOS. And out of this PMOS, this is actually carrying large current. So since VOD10 or since M10 transistor is carrying large current, what I'm doing is I am assigning VOD10 equal to 0.5, because that is a transistor which is carrying the largest current. So what is left out? The left out is 1 volt. So 1 volt I need to again suitably assign. So how many transistors are there now? I have 3 transistors, and those 3 transistors have 1 volt altogether. So VOD6 plus VOD8 is equal to 1 volt. Now how I should assign is, I can say that the VOD6 and VOD8 definitely they will have equal, I can assign equal voltages, because there is nothing special between those two. Those two I can definitely assign equal voltage. But the other transistor which is VOD11, that is a PMOS again. Since it is PMOS again compared to the other two, even though all the 3 are carrying equal current, the PMOS will suffer from a lower mobility, so we will assign slightly more overdrive to the PMOS device. So how can I assign? I can again assign in different way, but one good way is to assign VOD11 equal to 0.4, so that I have the sum of VOD6 and VOD8 can be given as 0.6. That means 0.3 each. VOD6 and VOD8 can be given as 0.6 volt. That means 0.3 each. All right. So what I have done is I have taken the cascode branch out of 4 transistor. Since the top is carrying the largest current, from 1.5, 0.5 assigned directly. And remaining one, if I'm assigning equally, it will be 333 millivolt, 333 point some change millivolt for each. But since I clearly see that 2 are NMOS and 1 is PMOS, for PMOS I am actually assigning slightly more overdrive compared to NMOS. Yes. VOD4 instead of VOD11. Which is VOD4? No, all right. I think I made a mistake. VOD10. Oh, this is VOD4, right? Yeah. Sorry. Thank you, Vaishnavi, for that. So this is VOD4, VOD8, and VOD6. So everywhere I need to change. This is VOD4. This is also VOD4. Yes. So with this, we got the overdrive voltage for all the transistors in the cascode, current of all the transistors in the cascode. That means you can easily find what is the W by L of transistors 6 and 8. 6 and 8 means it is from all the transistors from 5, 6, 7 and 8. You see 5, 6, 7, 8, all the transistors will have equal size, that I can find. Similarly, I can find the size of the cascode of the input pair, which is 3 and 4. So I can find the size of cascode of input transistors 3 and 4. And one more is I can also find the size of the current source transistors on the top, which is W by L of 9 and 10. So can you quickly tell me the voltages, sorry, the aspect ratio for all these transistors? VOD 5 to 8. Maybe few can calculate the VOD 9 and 10. Few can do, sorry, W by L of 3 and 4. Some can do W by L of 5 and 8. Current is known, VOD is known, mu and Cox, mu p Cox is also available. So you can easily find these values.
Sir, can you go to previous slide?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. So can I get answers for this aspect ratio 5 to 8, 3 and 4 and 9 and 10? Yes, Akash, for NMOS it is 34.
Sir, for PMOS it's 277 something.
PMOS is, you're telling which one?
277 for not 9 and 10. The others.
5 to 8.
No,
NMOS.
no, for the PMOS 3 to 4. It's
For 3 and 4,
277.
okay, yeah. I think I got some different answer for that. Maybe my mistake also. So one of you can also confirm the value.
So for 9 and 10, is it 400?
Yes, for 9 and 10 it is 400. Right, this is 400. Yeah, Anushka, 3 and 4 it is 313. Yeah, that is right. Amo, can you check? I think there is a difference.
I made a
in the
mistake,
value.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is 400. 3 and 4 it is 313. And 5 and 8, I'll write the answer. You can check. You will get around 278. Yeah, yes. Yeshita, I got your answer. 5 and 7 is 2. 5, 6, 7, 8 is 278. Yeah, so these are the answers for the size of the transistors in the cascode. Both there are two sides. Both the size cascode transistors are there. We got the size of all the transistors now. All right. Now what is left out is we need to find the size of the input transistors, and we did not assign overdrive directly. So here in folded cascode op-amp, finding the size of input transistors is slightly different than what we have done in telescopic. So listen carefully. So I'm going to step number 3 now. So what is step number 3? Step 3 is finding the aspect ratio of input transistor pair. So when I say input transistor, we'll also find the tail current source transistor's size as well. All right. So for this, what I will do is I'll just consider this cascode branch. This is the cascode branch, what we already considered now. And this is connected to VDD. And we know that from this point, maybe from this point, we have the input transistor. And then from there, I have the tail current source. Transistor available. Similarly, if I look at the other side, you will have the other, yeah, this will go actually to the other side of the cascode. I'm not drawing that right now. All right, so so let me number this as M1, M2, and this as M0. Now I have assigned overdrive of 0.5 here, 0.4 here, 0.3 and 0.3. Altogether we have 3 volt, sorry, 1.5, and rest 1.5 is for the output voltage to swing. So if I even show that here, right, this is the output swing. So what I'm going to find is, I'm just trying to find what is the optimum common mode level, or the DC level of this output DC level. I'm going to find. I'll explain why we are going to find the output DC level. So this is 3, this is 0, and here I have a 1.5 volt altogether. Now I want to find what is the maximum output swing here and what is the minimum output swing. What is the minimum output swing? You have 2 transistors down, each with overdrive assignment of 0.3 and 0.3. That means here this level is actually 0.6. So I can say this is equal to 0.6. The output swing minimum is 0.6 volt here. Similarly, on the top you have 0.5 volt to the input transistor, sorry, the current source, and 0.4 to the cascode of input. So 0.9. So this is around 0.9. That means from 3, if you deduct 0.9, what I will get here is 2.1 volt. Right. So 2.1 minus 0.6 is 1.5. That is what you have here as the swing. Now, if I want to find the average output common mode level, or I will mention it as, say, optimum common mode, optimum output DC level, optimum output DC level, I can write it as it is 2.1 plus 0.6 divided by 2, which is equal to 1.35 volt. That means this level is at 1.35 volt. Any doubt in that what I have done? I have taken the cascode branch by deducting the overdrive voltages of the top transistors and bottom transistors. I just obtained what is the optimum DC output level in this case, and I got it as 1.35. All right. So now coming back to the design, or how we will continue with the design further. So since we obtained the minimum and maximum output levels as 0.6 and 2.1, and similarly we obtained the optimum output DC level as 1.35. Now look at the input side part. So now when we design the input transistors dimension, like M1 and M2 dimension, we should size it in such a way that the minimum dimensions are actually decided by the minimum input common mode level. So this is the input, sorry, this is the input, So here I'm just marking it using red. So this is the input what we are applying. V in will be applied here. And now when I size M1 and M2, I need to also give a particular DC voltage to these 2 points, right? I need to provide DC voltage, and sizing of M1 and M2 should be done in such a way that it should satisfy the minimum input common mode level also. All right. Now, just to take you back to the telescopic discussion, you would have we discussed that telescopic op-amp there is a problem. We cannot do shorting of output to input because it is actually affecting the output voltage swing. I hope you remember that. Do you guys remember that? We discussed about the shorting of input and output of there is difficulty in shorting input and output for a telescopic op-amp, and we saw what is the difficulty. The output swing went very less, right? The output swing went very less. I hope yeah, we did that over here. But in contrast to telescopic op-amp, in folded cascode we can do that. That is one advantage of folded cascode. We will discuss about that little later after this design example. So what I'm going to do now is, in order to find the input transistors aspect ratio, I am considering the output input common mode level. So the minimum input common mode level as equal as minimum input common mode level. I'm making it equal as output common mode level or output DC level. I'll explain this once again. So what I'm trying to say here is, at least for the part of operation, or when I use a folded cascode op-amp, I have the option, or I can actually short output to input. If I do that, if I'm doing that shorting, this is the output point, and I can connect directly from output to input. So if I do that, the input the input common mode level will be equal to output DC level, or I can take the ICMR minus as equal to 1.35 from this example. Is this clear? Is this clear what I am doing now? So in order to size the input transistors, I am trying to find what will be the minimum input common mode level. So to find, for this example, I am taking input common mode level equal to the output DC level. By stating that, I can use this folded cascode op-amp as a unity gain buffer. So if I am using it as a unity gain buffer, definitely output will be shorted to input, and in that case, output DC level should be equal to input common mode level, and that level I am considering it as the minimum common mode level, and I am marking it as ICMR minus, and I am equating that to 1.35. Now with that, if I continue to design, what is ICMR minus in this case? ICMR minus is 1 VGS plus 1 overdrive. So I can write ICMR minus as, ICMR minus can be equated to 1 VGS. What is VGS? Which is VGS of 1 plus 1 overdrive, which is VOD of 0. Right. So this is equal to 1.35. I'm equating this to 1.35. Now, now in this I am taking, so this is again I am assigning it arbitrarily, not arbitrarily, I am assigning it. So VOD 0 is the bottom transistor, which is carrying the same current as that of the current source transistors here. So you can see that M0 is carrying 1.5, M9 and M10 is also carrying 1.5. For M9 and M10 we have assigned 0.5 as the overdrive. Now M9 and M10 are PMOS. Now your M0 is NMOS device. So instead of giving 0.5 directly, I am giving slightly lesser than 0.5, which is 0.4. Again, stating that NMOS will have a higher mobility, so that can be compensated. So VOD naught is 0.4. If VOD naught is 0.4, I can say VGS1 will be equal to 1.35 minus 0.4, which is equal to 0.95 volt. VGS is 0.95 volt. Now with that, VGS is 0.95. I can say the overdrive voltage of 1 and 2, which is we can deduct threshold from this, and that will be equal to 0.25. All right, so this is equal to 0.25 volt. Is this clear? If this is clear, you can go and find what is the transistor sizes W by L of 0 and W by L of 1 and 2. So was this discussion clear? What I did is I have taken the minimum input common mode level equal to output DC level, and based on that I have assigned this. This is what we generally do for a folded cascode op-amp. So you can check out the values. You will get this almost equal to 400. This is very close to 400. And W by L of 0 is equal to 313. So please check out these values. Now, so what is left out? We have obtained through 3 steps, we obtained the current through all devices, the overdrive assignment we have done, and we obtained the size of all the transistors. What is next step? Can I get some response?
Gain, sir.
Yes, we need to find gain. Yes, so that is our step 4. So we need to find gain. So how will I find gain? Okay, so yesterday while discussing the circuit, all right, so this is a circuit. Now we have written the gain expression, but again, you can apply the half circuit analysis here, because if this is a fully differential circuit, you can go and apply half circuit analysis. So what will happen when I apply half circuit analysis? What you are seeing now is not the fully differential version. You need to remove this this current mirror connection over here. Okay, I'll take this one. Yeah, this is your fully differential version. So how will I apply half circuit? This is the half circuit, means the circuit is symmetric, assuming the inputs are anti-symmetric. So this node will go to ground. So if I draw only the half circuit here, the half circuit will be like this. We'll have the top transistor, then one more transistor here, then 2 transistors here. This will be ground. Now from here you have the input transistor, and the source end of that is also grounded, and this is V in, and from here it is V out. All these are DC bias voltages, and all those are grounded. So half circuit means I have taken only one half. So all the 4 transistors of cascode will come, and on the left hand side, on the input pair, you have only the input device, because this node is the symmetry point, the line of symmetry. So this will be connected to ground. That is why I have drawn the circuit in this fashion. All right. So with this, how will I write gain? I can write gain as GM into R out. And as we just found yesterday, capital GM can be equated to small GM1. And you can, I think this is easy to find the resistances R up and R down. So what is R down here? R down is equal to, let me number the transistor. So the transistors are, if it is with M1, you have all the odd numbers. So M9, M3, M5 and M7, and M3, M5 and M7, and this is the input transistor. So the transistor down, the output impedance is GM5 R05 into R07, and the transistor up, you have R01 parallel to R09, which is magnified by GM3 R03. Is this okay? So this is the gain expression. Now what you need to do is, you need to find GM, you need to find R0 for all the transistors and substitute here, and let me write the gain expression here again. It is GM1 into GM5 R05 R07 parallel to GM3 R03 into R01 parallel to R09. So keeping this expression as such, substitute the values and find the combined values of these components, so that if the gain specification is not met, we will actually see what modification we can do. So that we will continue in the next class. So I hope this design is clear. If you have further questions, please you can ask it now. Thank you so much for joining.